reality to other people. See, 14 years ago, I met this lady. Her name was Carol Maureen Freezer, still is. She runs a retreat center in Costa Rica. But she is a master body language expert for the last 30 or 40 years. I don't know, maybe less. Maybe I'm aging here. She is, I met her one night. I just graduated from a coaching certification in Calgary, Alberta. And one of my friends said that there's this lady that's going to tell you everything that you're already thinking. And I was like, well, there's no way she can like mind read me. And so I went to this introduction, and this woman, and then I wanted to go on stage because I thought, well, okay, I want to know what she thinks about me. And I stepped up on stage, and she's like, you're a warrior, but you don't act on it. And I was like, holy shit. Like, it wasn't so much that she knew what I was already thinking, as she knew what I had deep inside me, right? So that was really interesting. And the next day I showed up at her office, and I spent the next 6 years working with her, like really closely, and traveling all over North America and checking out, you know, teaching people about sovereign body language. Well, at the time she was calling it self-healing, and the classes that we actually taught were body-mind analysis classes. But then now what I'm doing is I'm taking it to a different direction with sovereign body language. So I have to explain to you what it is, though, because I know I haven't. Have you ever seen somebody who's like totally beaten down by life? Right? Can you picture that? You know what it is, right? And like, what about somebody who's just been rejected? Or what about somebody who just met like the love of their life and they're totally infatuated, right? You know what that is, right? You understand that on some level. But, so everybody reads a body, and these are very obvious examples, right? These are examples you cannot miss. But then there's different layers of body language. Just recently, I read that somebody thought that face reading was phrenology, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Face reading actually reads how you have been reacting to the world. And there is an actual biological explanation. I'm going to explain. So basically what happens is every time you have a thought, that thought comes out as a micro-expression on your face, right? Some of you may be familiar with the show Lie to Me and Paul Ekman and his work with micro-expressions and traveling all over the world. And Paul Ekman was the inspiration for the show. With, with the micro-expressions, when you're reading micro-expressions, when you're looking at somebody and they're making these micro-expressions, each one lasts less than a second. But you can, if you slow down the tape, you can see anger, disgust, resentment, all these expressions. But what happens with micro-expressions is if you continue to have the same thoughts over and over and over, they become a mark or a wrinkle. They become a jutting chin or a pulled back shoulder. And there's all of these body language, all of these expressions that I've been studying for the last 14 years that mean things about people. Right? It's not phrenology. It's how you have come here to be. Who you have come here to be is in your bone structure, but how you've arrived at this moment in time isn't all in your face. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get some of you up on stage so you can do some general body reading and face reading and whatever you want. So who's the brave soul to come up first? Come on, Nirvana. Welcome our first rabbit. All right, I'm just going to take a look at you and see what I see. Can you face the audience? So, what I saw Nirvana doing at the beginning when she looked at me is, what you did is you covered the front a little bit, but you were like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. And she put her hands in the back. And that's basic body language. The first one is covering my family jewels. So I'm not comfortable where I'm at, so I'm going to cover my privates, right? And the second one is, okay, I'm going to let you talk. And then you put your hands behind your back. So whenever you put your hands up behind your back, your hands are an extension of your throat chakra, and that's your expression. So whenever you put your hands behind your back like that, that means you're allowing someone else to take the stage and you're taking your expression out, right? If you're having an argument with somebody and your hands are behind your back, that may be because you've removed your expression from the conversation. You're either done from the conversation, or you're totally overpowered, or you're hiding something, or you're about to condom? There's all these different explanations, but why would you, if you're having a conversation, like right now she's a subject, so she's correctly putting her hands behind her back because she's letting me present. But if this was a conversation or maybe an argument, how would that feel, right? And so I wanted to do face reading for you. So ever since I saw you yesterday, I wanted to do a face reading for you. Because she's got a beautiful face. And what I see in her face is all the traits that I wish I had more of, right? So what I see in her face, well, okay, the way you're holding your hair sometimes, because your hair goes a little bit more farther behind and opening. See, I think that you may think that you might have a large forehead, right? And so you try to put your hair in front. But what you actually have is you have a beautiful, idealistic, feminine face. So it's very, very tall idealism. Really, really tall, right? And that height is like, think about all the banks. And they all have those really tall buildings, right? They're all trying to tell you that they're all really, really idealistic and trustworthy and they're working for your highest good. But the banks are just faking you out. This lady here, she's very idealistic and she's working for the highest good or whatever cause she's dedicated to, right? I also see a strong chin and I see a strong nose. The nose is your solar plexus, so how you stand up in the world. But your nose, even though it's very pushy and very out there, and very strong, it starts between the eyes here. And when I see the dip between the eyes here, I know that she's filtering her solar plexus energy through her heart chakra. So that means she's not going to say anything mean. Even though she has a strong personality, she has a caring heart. And she really wants to filter all her words through her heart. Now, can I touch her nose? So now when I touch the tip of her nose, it's not totally soft. It's not like pudgy soft. It's a little bit sharp. So that would suggest to me that when she speaks to me, when she's trying to convince me of something, she'll be very strong. It may be sharp sometimes, but it all comes from the heart. It doesn't come from over-intellectualizing reality. It comes from the heart because of her nose going deep. Now, when I look at your face, I think the most prominent feature would be your eyes, right? Your big, beautiful eyes. So then again, that's a heart chakra, right? So then we know that this lady is very, very heart-oriented. So whatever she's doing in the world, it's because of heart reasons, right? As you look at her, look at these people so they can see you. As you look at her, you see her beautiful eyes, and you see her powerful nose, and you see her height, her idealistic height. This is a freedom fighter. You're right? This is somebody who's fighting for the good of the world. Somebody who's not afraid to stand up and say, no, this is not right. Right? And I see that right from just looking at her face. The other thing is she has very well-developed lips. And so that tells me that not only sensuality and creativity are very well developed within her, but also she can speak up for those who need speaking up for. She would probably be an advocate for people who are oppressed or whatever. She'd probably be like, no, don't do that. Is that true? Yeah? And so the only thing that I think that you could do to show your intelligence and your abilities better to the world so that they can perceive you as that is to open a little bit more of your forehead. Like allow your hair. Because, okay, so there's a couple different kinds of foreheads that she kind of has, right? So the one, we have an oval on top, right? Which means flexible, feminine, wanting to do good, things like that. But then if her hair goes too much over her forehead, she may become a little narrow-minded, right? And you might think, oh, it's just hair. But think about all the people you see in Hollywood. Hollywood gets these things really, really well, right? Every time you get the evil stepmother, she's super narrow-minded. She has a triangle on top. So what I'm saying is, if you want to open your mind, like nobody ever says, bright idea, bright idea. Nobody ever covers their forehead to say bright idea. If you want to express your intellect, your abilities to the world, opening up your forehead and allowing that whole face to shine is the way to communicate. Now the interesting thing is that the moda, the fashion for having bangs, for women having bangs, I think that's an oppressive fashion. And I'm not a feminist, I promise you. But I think that a lot of people have encouraged women to cover up their intellect because when you cover up this part of your face, all you can see is heart and the sexual organs. And that's how they want to perceive women. They don't want to. But if you think about a queen like Cleopatra or Marie Antoinette, or any kind of like a powerful woman, she never has her forehead covered. She always has. Even try to Google powerful women or women leaders, right? 90% of them, unless they're like agenda driven, they will have their foreheads well on display and their regal countenance. So here's another thing about body language. Now you're my subject right now, and we're talking, right? And you're thinking, okay, I have all this idealism, I have all this power. What do I do? How do I take charge of it? Well, you have to take charge of your container. Now, do you know where your container is? Right, but it's even more because it's your electromagnetic body, right? We're talking about the chakras. This thing is about the chakras, right? So the chakras are part of your electromagnetic body. It's a physical thing. It's not made up. It really exists. It's measurable. Just like micro-expression is also measurable. It's not woo. I mean, a little bit, but it's not really woo. Right, so for you to take charge of your whole container, you have to imagine the egg that's around you. Right, that aura. Right, so then if you're imagining her in a container, right now, the way she's standing, how is she sitting in her container? Imagine her sitting on a chair. Is she perching on a stool? Or is she sitting in an armchair? How is she sitting in that container? Right? She's a little bit daintily sitting, not really comfortable, right? But if you think about this, okay, if you were a 600-year-old witch that already had all the husbands, all the children, all the things, right? And you're standing in front of these people, how would you stand? Right? The initial thing that she did is she lifted her shoulders. She said, I don't know. How would I stand? How would you stand? Would you take more of the space inside your egg?
Probably.
And what would that be? Wisdom. Well, don't you have the wisdom already? Aren't you infinite wisdom connected to the infinite universe?
I ask myself that all the time.
All right, maybe you can sit down. I'm picking on you too much. Do we have any other volunteers? Bravo. That's it? I'm going to go home? Yeah? You want to come, Fabi? Come on up. Hello, fabulous Fabi. How are you? Yeah, look at them, look at them. So, Fabi has a similar kind of face, a little bit. She doesn't have as much height, right? So, her face, let me see. So with her, I see a lot of like rectangular tendencies in here, right? Versus Nirvana had more of a rounded face with like a little bit of a sensitive but powerful chin. Fabi here has more of a rectangle coming in here, where you see this part of the body is called the ascending ramus. It's a bone, right? But around that bone, when you look at somebody, and if you see like a thickening, widening of the face in that area, it speaks of stubbornness. You know, it's like that kind of grinding your teeth. I'm going to do it no matter what. And when I look at her profile, I see her chin meeting the world at the same time as her nose. So she has a nice, powerful nose. She's a powerful woman. And her chin meets the world about the same as her nose. And that tells me that she has the determination to follow her ego. Her ego may lead her somewhere, but her determination follows, right? Also her head, I mean, you're pushing your head forward a little bit, but it's fairly well, considering our society, fairly well positioned on top of their body. But if you think about it, if your head is pushing forward, you're meeting the world with your ego. Your nose is the first thing that reaches forward, right? If you put your head back on your body, your heart is the first thing that meets the world. Right? So how different would it be if when you were walking through life, you were actually meeting the world with your heart instead of your ego? Right? In this society where we live in, where we're going so fast, going, right? Pushing. A lot of the people tends to be like this, right? Looking at the computer and stuff. And then when that person goes out, they're led by their ego, by their nose. Which means that they would like consider competition instead of collaboration. They would maybe not feel, comfortable in their own skin. They would have to be better, faster, stronger than all these other people. But maybe that's not the goal of life. Maybe that's not why we were born, to be better, faster, stronger, right? So, high idealism. Oh, the dimples. The dimples talk about being in touch with your inner child. So remembering the fun, the lightheartedness of being a child. And so what's her most prominent feature, you guys? You tell me. Let's do some face reading together.
For me, that would be the chin.
The chin?
For me, yeah, the chin and the nose.
The cheeks, did you say, over there?
Yeah.
The cheeks, the chin. Right, so her cheeks, actually, her cheeks are like the empress cheeks, right? They have a blend of nurturing and ambition. So she would be very nurturing and very caring, but she would also be powerful, right? And we know that about Fabi because we know that she's not just a worker, she has her own business and she's a leader of people under her, right? So then there is that, I am going to be stubborn, I'm going to go forward, I'm going to make my team better. You know, all of those qualities are showing up in her life because I know her, right? Unfair advantage. But yeah, so you have a nice, neat, can I touch the tip of your nose? So her nose is a little softer, so that means she would make her words a little softer, but not really significant. Like a lot of people have really, really soft tips of the nose. I still have a little bit of cartilage here, but the softer your nose is, the softer your words when you're communicating with other people, things that you want to communicate. And I see that you have a little bit of an upper lip challenge. Now, everybody in the world has the same size lips. Did you guys know that? Like, Nirvana has the same size lips as Coco, as me, as Fabi, everybody. The difference between the size of your lips is the tension in the muscles around the lips. There are hundreds of little tiny muscles. I don't know how many. I never checked. There's a whole bunch of little tiny muscles all around your lips. They're all pointing this way, and they're all pointing this way. You know, like these little old ladies that have those wrinkles? Those wrinkles are those muscles that have been tense for 50 years. And then they become those wrinkles. Like, if you hold it like this, right? Your skin, your muscles are going to hurt. It's going to physically hurt. But I want you guys to check if your lips hurt. Because anybody who's got, like, maybe not Nirvana, don't check. Everybody else, you have some tension in your lips, right? So your lips will be, will have some, like I do, right? I have some tension in my upper lip because I still have stuff that I haven't expressed. So the upper lip is about sensuality, creativity, sexuality, but sharing your creative arts. You know, in the sacral chakra, that's where the waters of creation mingle, right? So we create a baby or a book or a piece of music or a painting or something like that, right? That's all happening in the sacral chakra. And then your mouth is the sacral chakra of your face. So then all the waters of creation, whether you're creating words like I am right now, or whether you're creating a baby, right? All that comes out of the sacral chakra. So when you release the muscles around your lips will become bigger. Mine did. Mine were really, really thin 14 years ago when I first met Carol, and the founder of this modality, Herman Muller. This is called psychosomatic therapy. That's the real name for it. Herman Muller passed away in 2017, but a number of people are still teaching his work all over the world, in Australia and Costa Rica and here in Mexico. So, but you know, just because your cheeks are your prominent feature doesn't mean your eyes don't play a really significant role in your face, right? So your heart chakra, your cheeks up here are also your heart chakra. The ambition, so cheeks are kind of like an in-between heart and solar plexus chakra. When you see the real ambitious cheeks with their chiseled cheeks, right? Those are the cheeks of somebody who is into solar plexus. They're working on their career, they're working on being better and smarter and faster, whatever. And then when they're chubby cheeks, they like to take care of others and mother them and smother them sometimes and things like that. So with her, there's a combination of the nurturing and the ambition. So that's why they call the Empress or whatever cheeks. But so she is ready to take over the world, I think. Are you ready to take over the world? There you go. That's the perfect answer. That's the perfect. So let's see. When you're sitting on your, if she was sitting on a chair inside her little egg container, you guys, what kind of chair would she be sitting? Is she comfortable in her container?
She's having fun.
She's having fun. She's like on one of those daycare chairs, right? That's good, that's good. So it depends what you want to do, right? If you want to be a 600-year-old witch, then you rule from within your kingdom like you really rule, right? And if you want to be like a little playful child, you can do that, and you can do everything. But what you need to do, so this is, you can sit down, Fabi, if you want. What I teach, what I encourage, what I implore, what I hope to take over the world with is the concept of inner self-parenting. So there is a thing in our society. Most people have not had the coming of age ceremony, and the coming of age ceremony, even when that happens in Mexico here, it's not really a true coming of age ceremony, because the next day the young lady or the young man go back to their own home bedroom in the same house they were yesterday, and they have to obey and listen to the same rules as yesterday. And that's not a coming of age ceremony, that's a sham. I mean, it's a beautiful party, but it's not a coming of age ceremony. A coming of age ceremony was something where you went on a journey, where you experienced pain and suffering and experienced something, right? Maybe a better coming of age ceremony would be a thesis written from your university, but that's even the universities that we have right now. They're very limited in their thinking. They're not allowing us to expand our mind and stand in our power. Actually, that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow at, I believe, 10:30. Where we talk about the autonomy panel, because that's a university that helps you stand up in your power every day. But what I want to talk to you about is inner self-parenting, because if you never go through a coming of age ceremony, you never let go of the expectation of having your parents inside your head. And then there's this grandpa and grandma who are telling you what to do. A good girl should do that, and don't stand out too much, and put a longer skirt on, and all these things that are maybe not relevant to your reality. Maybe they are, but you're the only one to know if they are or aren't once you come on the other side of the coming of age ceremony, whether it's your own or your own just desire or decision to take charge back from the people who have taught you. Once upon a time when you were a baby, you needed that. You needed somebody to show you how to tie your shoes, right? But then there's supposed to come a time where you let go of your parents. They've taught you everything you need. They taught you how to make a sandwich, how to tie a shoe, how you shower yourself. And then at that time, you need to take over. The most important reason for that is because your parents don't have your morals, your judgments, your values, your abilities, your inclinations, your proclivities. They're not you. They're raising their own inner kindergarten. Their own inner child needs to be raised, just like yours needs to be raised. And the inner child is always 4. So no matter how long you're alive, if you're 80 or 100 or 20, your inner child is always 4. And the other thing is, your inner child is a key to manifestation. So if you want to create something better in your life, you need to nurture your inner child on a really, really deep level. And then, if that child feels brave enough to stand up and become something in the world, become who you've always been, and stand up in the world and show the world who you are, then that's when you know that you've taught that child well. But the encouragement, the support, and everything has to come from inside. You can't look at your parents or your friends and say, is this a good idea? Because you need to know that it's a good idea. That this is your idea. You own that idea. Right? And the only way to do that is to break through all of the programming that is put upon you by the government trying to keep you to be a child for the rest of your life. Better ask an expert. You don't want to make your own decision. Your own research is dangerous to your health. All of these little lines that you've been said, that been told to you for your whole life. And now you come here, you're an adult, and I am inviting you to take charge of your own inner kindergarten and make it the best kindergarten that you know how to make. You're the only person that knows what you need in your kindergarten. Do you need more cheese? I love cheese. Cheese is really a big part of my kindergarten. I don't know about you guys, but cheese, I love cheese. But what your kindergarten might need, for some people, they can't sit in front of a computer for a long time, right? And yet they force themselves and try to overcome it. But what you need is to create breaks where you go around the yard in circles like my dog does, right? So there is different things for every single person has a different kindergarten, and they need different things in their own kindergarten. So what's really, really important is for you to not only connect with yourself to the point where you understand what's necessary for you to become the person that you've always wanted to become, and then provide that for yourself. Create that environment where every day you're moving towards more of who you really are. Should we have more volunteers? How many minutes do I have, Lexi? I have 5 minutes left.
The next speaker is late though, so...
Okay, well, why don't we take some questions, or if somebody wants to come up on stage, I'm cool with that too. Yes, sir. You want to come up? Okay. And you had a question? Do you want to come up?
It's okay.
You can both come up. Well, I can pick on both of you at the same time.
All right.
Hey, Betty too.
Can you take 3?
Patty?
Can you handle 3?
Go for it.
They
Who's
want
the
me to
third?
go off too.
3 men.
All right. No sunglasses, right? That's not gonna help.
Okay, so because these 3 guys came up on stage, I have to tell you about hair now, right? So what we have here is we have the first gentleman, Constantine, right? And then Amin and Matt.
Or Mate.
Matteo. I knew that. I knew all of it. So Constantine has the kind of hair that will allow him to focus and concentrate at the computer and have no distractions from his emotional side, because his hair is short. It's also straight and light, and and it's all sorts of airy, right? And then we come to Amin, and Amin's hair touches his throat chakra, but it does not reach his heart chakra. So we know that if hair is like an antenna, right? We know that the hair will communicate back for whatever chakra it's come up to, right? So his communication is aided by his hair, but at the same time his hair is very curly. So what that means is that he has a tendency of mulling over things, thinking in circles sometimes, right? So just knowing that about yourself, that you have that tendency, then allowing yourself the time to think in circles, because it's part of who you are, right? You're not going to straighten your hair, and if you are, it's just going to go back anyway, right? So just understanding that mulling over things is good as long as you follow it up with action. But if you're allowing mulling and mulling and mulling and mulling, then it can turn into arthritis. Actually, arthritis is a symptom of circular thoughts without action. So whenever the energy, so why we have kinks in our body, right? Like, I mean, this is kink in your hair, but there can be kinks in your body. There can be some pain, some stiffness, something. And we have that because the energy is not moving through our chakras. Our chakras are not moving at the rate. I'm not saying they should all be super 100% open, because I've found some stuff that's not necessarily the case, but they should all be running at a good rate, at a good clip, right? And whenever you have a lack of energy in a certain chakra, it feels sluggish. In that energy, you slow down, right? A chakra is a spinning wheel of energy that actually spins inside you. You have 7 big ones and a whole bunch of little ones. So we have the hair that allows you to really focus and think. I do that with my hair when I pull it up. We have the hair that's circular thinking, and then we have the hair that reaches all the way to his heart. Right? He's got some wave in it, so but it reaches all the way to his heart. So that means that when he feels things in his heart, there's a biofeedback with his brain. There's a thinking and a connecting with his body, right? But you don't necessarily have to have hair in order to connect with your body. You have to have the consciousness to connect with your body, to understand your body, to accept the things that you've been given, the things that came. So certain traits, like for example, your nose, right? And like the shape of your face, those things were here for you when you were born, right? You've chosen, I believe, my personal opinion, you've chosen the vehicle that you're going to be traveling in this experience. But then any kind of muscle tension, any kind of like facial tics, anything, that's your thoughts creating that. Unless it's a physiological thing, in which case maybe it's something you've chosen to experience that too. So what else should I tell you about you guys? Okay, Constantine has a lot of tension in his lips. I would definitely suggest that you could try it. Grab your lips like this and squeeze. No, like seriously, grab it. There's a lot of, there you go. And squeeze. Do you feel little shooting pains? Yeah, so that's the tension in your lips. Now, you were trained from a small age 5 years old or so, to keep your mouth shut, right? Because it wasn't safe, because somebody didn't like what you had to say, right? I also see this here. Do you guys see this here? He's got like a little bit of rolling of his shoulders. That shows me that whoever, I would say about 5, 6 years old, maybe when did you go to school? Did you have a bad first year school experience? Is that what happened?
Well, I changed like 4 schools.
Because your ears tell me it's about 5 or 6 years old, that you were basically told to shut up, that whatever you had to share with the world wasn't really good enough, and then you learned to cover your heart chakra and keep your mouth shut.
5 or 6, I was in kindergarten.
Maybe 7.
7th, 1st grade. Yep. I don't remember
But-
anyway.
But so either you had like a oppressive, not oppressive necessarily, like a strong
My
parent.
dad is very
Strong parent.
People would have said, yeah.
Yeah, so saying you might have said, oh, I want to be a painter when I grow up, and you'd be like, shut up, be an accountant. Right, that kind of thing. And that teaches a child to keep his mouth shut and to cover his heart chakra because he doesn't want to share with the world. And maybe the idea or the original. I remember one time I wanted to please my father, and I said to him, I want to be a shopkeeper when I grow up. Because my father really liked money, and I saw all the people going to the shopkeeper and giving them money, so I thought he would be totally stoked if I said I want to be a shopkeeper. And I got a long lecture at 4 years old about being lower class and not being a shopkeeper because I was an upper class person that needed to be not a shopkeeper, whatever that means. But that kind of judgment, that kind of like putting on ideas, because I had no idea what a shopkeeper and a banker, the difference between them would be. I just thought he liked money. So that kind of a thing, you're going out there and you're like, oh, but I want to do this, and you're trying to please the person, and they're like, shut up. That'll teach to keep your mouth shut. It'll teach you not to hear. Your ears are fairly small for your head, right? So that at that age, you also said, well, fuck you, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't need this shit. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm going to do whatever I want. Right?
Yeah, our parents would argue a lot.
And then that shuts down your hearing. Again, 5 minutes? That was like 5 minutes ago.
I said you could go a little longer, but now you have 5 minutes.
Okay, do you guys have any questions since the three of you are on stage here right now? So the way he's putting his hands in his pocket, that's an exaggerated protecting the jewels thing, right? He's like, oh no, I'm chill, but he's really like, yeah.
I just feel like how long this shirt is. I told you that.
Well, you can always do that California thing where you cut just
tuck
one
it
little
in?
edge of it.
A little bit.
Yeah, see,
But
there you go.
I was thinking too with the lips, a good technique for seeing is called lip rolls that anyone should do. Yeah, and when you squeeze like this with your fingers, go.
Yeah, that would
And
definitely
it just
release
sends all this blood
all
and
that
oxygen,
tension.
just like it's like yeah.
And-
Choose your lips.
And if somebody's speaking and you guys find yourself going, you have tension in your lips. First of all, you're like, I'm uncomfortable with what you're saying, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But second thing is, you have tension in your lips. I have tension in my lips. I'm not judging. I'm just letting you know. Okay, more questions from the 3 volunteers? 3 handsome men? Oh, now I have to talk about the feet. I have 3 minutes to talk about the feet? Okay. So in order to, so you're a perfect balance between heaven and earth, and your heart chakra is the center point between heaven and earth, right? So when you stand there, and your feet are parallel to each other with 1 foot in the middle, so like 1 foot, and 1 foot, sort of like that, with 1 foot in the middle, in like this. Then the energy will flow, easily through your meridians, and everything will be running smoothly, spinning nicely, right? But if you see, your stance is a little too wide, but I would put it a little bit more closer, yeah? A little closer. Because you want your feet directly underneath your hips. Because as these centers align, then you're going to have more energy come through your body. You changed your feet, but they were different before, but I know what they were like.
Yeah. What were you like?
They were like this.
Those spread out.
Yeah, so that means that this man is really dedicated to his family or his people or his tribe or whatever, and he's giving away all his energy to the people that he loves. He's not keeping enough for himself, and he is taking care of others way more than he takes care of himself. But the thing is, in order to run a good kindergarten inside your head, you have to balance that out. You can't be taking more care of other people than you take care of yourself, right? And you have the same issue. right? Giving all the energy out to others. Now, the reason why they're giving the energy out to others is because in a very, very small way. No, that's a bad one too. That's a bad one too. If you're doing like this, that means like you're completely selfish and cut off from the outside world, and you don't want any energy from nobody, and you're keeping it all to yourself. And if you're like this, it's because you're giving it all away to your family and the loved ones, whatever, your passion, and you don't take anything for yourself. But if you straighten it out, you can have more energy in your body, and you can have more energy for yourself, right? A little bit more closer together for all you guys. But just being aware that that's your tendency, right? It's not necessarily about changing it. It's up to you to change it. If you're rolling your shoulders, protecting your heart chakra, good, protect your heart chakra. Or maybe express who you really are freely. So, see? See? How does it feel? Are you a 600-year-old witch now? Yeah! All right, are we done now? Is that it? Is that it? That's it.
Wow.
Thank you very much to all the witches in the audience and the volunteers.
Step through the portal.